Go!
Excessive gear usage, unhealthy body weights with unnatural amounts of muscle, dieting to very low body fat, and unhealthy contest protocols are a recipe for disaster. Today, we will talk about the 20 worst deaths in bodybuilding history. Let's start. Number 20. Sifiso Longelo Tabete. Up-and-coming South African bodybuilder, Sifiso Longelo Tabete looked to have a bright future ahead of him. He was already a champion at 23, having won a prestigious junior championship in Johannesburg. However, his promising career was cut tragically short after a freak accident at a competition that resulted in his untimely death. The accident occurred on August 5, 2017, in the south coastal city of Durban. Tabete entered in front of the crowd by executing his signature backflip. As Tabete walked to the center of the gymnasium dressed in a black Speedo and ankle socks, the MC lauded him as a world champion as the crowd began to cheer and applaud. However, Tabete thrusted his body into the air to begin his backflip, but he failed to make a full rotation. Instead, he landed on the back of his neck, which sent him bouncing onto his side, where he remained motionless as two trainers came to his aid. It is believed that he was wearing ankle socks that caused the slip and landed on his head horribly. It was a terrible fate for South American bodybuilder and IFBB junior world champion Sifiso Longelo Tabete, someone who could have achieved so much more in his life.
In overseas, since you know our country, they don't support us. That's why we are willing to all of you guys.
Number 19. Rich Piana. Rich Piana, a formidable figure in the bodybuilding world, carved out an indelible legacy not only through his triumphs in competitions such as clinching the Mr. California title in 1998, but also through his dynamic and candid presence beyond the stage. His victories spanning several bodybuilding contests, demonstrating his dedication and prowess in the sport. However, Piana's influence extended far beyond his competitive achievements. His magnetic personality and unwavering commitment to transparency garnered him a vast following, making him a beloved icon in the fitness industry. Piana's YouTube channel became a cornerstone of his legacy, where he shared motivational talks, detailed workout routines, and glimpses into his daily life. Through this platform, he connected with fans worldwide, offering advice, inspiration, and a raw look into the life of a bodybuilding superstar. His openness about the use of steroids and the challenges within the bodybuilding community resonated with many, cementing his status as a trailblazer who wasn't afraid to address controversial topics head-on. Tragically, Piana's life came to a premature end at the age of 46 after he suddenly collapsed at his home and subsequently fell into a coma, passing away a few weeks later. The exact cause of his death remains somewhat ambiguous, though it was noted that he suffered from enlarged organs, which hinted at underlying health issues possibly exacerbated by his lifestyle choices. On the speculation surrounding the circumstances of his death, Joe Rogan said he died young. He took an unhealthy amount of steroids. Rogan was talking on the podcast about Piana and couldn't believe the late bodybuilder once did an 8-hour arm workout. By the way, the late bodybuilder had spoken about his almost 30 years of steroid uses and was aware of how it could harm him.
The mentality is what's going to make things happen. Is having that mentality to never give up, keep pushing forward. People don't like to think.
Number 18. Dallas McCarver. The 6'1", 300-pound mass monster was an up-and-coming bodybuilding star, and gurus believed that he was destined to be a future Mr. Olympia champion. With a career that skyrocketed from the get-go, securing his pro card at the astonishing age of 21, Dallas was the embodiment of a rising star. But his journey took a dark and unexpected turn, leading to a shocking end that left the fitness world reeling. Dallas's health alarms first rang loud and clear for the world to see when he collapsed on stage at the Arnold Classic in Australia. A moment that foreshadowed the tragic twist of his life was about to take. Despite this scare, Dallas jumped back into training, seemingly unfazed, until one fateful day in August 2017 when he was discovered unconscious at his home. The initial belief was that his death was due to choking on food. However, the truth unveiled later was far more alarming and controversial. 3 months post his death, the bombshell dropped. Dallas McCarver's autopsy revealed a starkly different cause of death: severe cardiomegaly, an ominous enlargement of the heart. His heart was a massive 833 grams, nearly triple the size of an average human heart, which typically weighs around 300 grams. This revelation cast a shadow over the bodybuilding community, highlighting the dire consequences of anabolic steroids and human growth hormone or HGH abuse. Dallas McCarver's story serves as a chilling reminder of the extreme risks some athletes take to reach the pinnacle of their sport. But are these risks worth it? Number 17, Shan Harris. Shan Harris, a promising IFBB Pro League bodybuilder, tragically passed away on July 27, 2017. Harris made his mark in the bodybuilding world by winning the Masters over 35 heavyweight and overall titles at the 2015 IFBB North American Championships, securing his pro status. Just as he was gearing up for his next big challenge, the Tampa Pro Contest in 2017, tragedy struck. Mere days before he was set to compete, Harris was involved in a catastrophic accident. He fell asleep behind the wheel, leading to a fatal crash. This shocking incident cut short the life of an athlete who was on the rise in the competitive bodybuilding scene, leaving the community to mourn the loss of not just a competitor, but a potential champion. He left behind a wife and 2 loving children, adding a profound personal tragedy to his untimely demise.
I heard a sound 2 weeks ago. You look good there. You were sounding pretty confident. Did you think you had it?
Yeah, I felt comfortable coming in. I mean, you never know who shows up to a contest.
Number 16, Andreas Moer. Andreas Moer was an Austrian professional bodybuilder known for his extremely low body fat levels. The latter part is crucial here because Moer's autopsy revealed that he had almost 0% body fat at the time of his death. Though his body was the gold standard, it also serves as a cautionary tale for bodybuilders or men striving for the ripped, lean look the sport demands. Although it could not be confirmed, he appears to have died from multiple organ failure, the likely result of years of alleged anabolic steroid use. It is said that his liver crumbled like foam upon the autopsy and was covered in table tennis ball-sized growths. His heart was also about twice the size it should have been. It became clear that Moer had been dealing with severe abdominal pain for months before his demise. Men require at least 3% body fat, and women at least 12% in order for the body to function properly. But despite the risks, Moer's pictures and profile frequently go viral on bodybuilding forums all these years later because of his perpetual obsession with stripping every last ounce of adipose tissue from his body. Nevertheless, Moer's impeccable conditioning and an unreal level of detail helped him burst onto the scene. It is really unfortunate his stay at the top was far too short. He passed away on March 14, 1996 at the age of just 31.
Andreas Moer has been here many times to compete in this competition, and he's moving up each year. He's getting better every year.
Number 15, Scott Wilson. Bodybuilding and powerlifting community was devastated at the death of one of their pioneers, Scott Wilson, on May 6, 2018. The superstar of Golden Era was a former Mr. America and Mr. International winner. He was proving over and over that he was one of the highest talented bodybuilders in the history of the sport. Scott Wilson was known for simply giving everything he had to his wonderful body and powerlifting records. Such a brutal level of dedication, morale, motivation, and super hard will to train and overcome the biggest obstacles is extremely rarely seen. Even today, his powerlifting records are mission impossible for many successful competitors. Bench press, 580 pounds. Squat, 750 pounds. Deadlift, 735 pounds. Really, what was this man made of? He died after a lengthy battle with skin cancer that had metastasized, leaving behind his wife and 3 children. And although he passed away at the age of 67, he created an undeletable trail in the world of bodybuilding and powerlifting. Legends are remembered forever, and we have no doubt saying that his name will remain etched in the annals of bodybuilding for a long time.
I remember in the old days when we used to just train 3 or 4 months out of a year, prepare ourselves best we could for a contest.
Number 14, Mohamed Benaziza. Mohamed Benaziza was a bodybuilding legend gone too soon. The Algerian bodybuilder with an incredible physique boasted a sensational back, massive shoulders, huge biceps, and extremely developed quadriceps. It is said that it was Joe Weider who gave Momo Benaziza his nickname of Giant Killer. Like so many others before him, the father of bodybuilding was impressed that Benaziza was able to compete with bodybuilders much larger than himself, despite his small size. However, he took a lot of steroids such as different diuretics and got himself ripped. Unfortunately, he died at the age of 33. In 1992, after finishing first in a competition in the Netherlands, Momo Benaziza collapsed. He was found dead a few hours later in his hotel room. It is believed that the cause of death was that he took an injection provided by an unidentified man to accelerate the process of his preparation shortly before the competition. Milo Sarkev recalled the last time he saw Benaziza. The Serbian coach said, "His body was so hard, I was in my room and I saw everything happen. Because he looked like an absolute freak, he could not even walk to get his trophy. It is reported that he had earlier complained of sickness and shortness of breath, but refused several times to go to a hospital. Some have suggested that his death was caused by the use of anabolic steroids, but this has never been proven.
Ooh, a slow, deliberate approach for Mohammed Benaziza.
Number 13, Sha Rhoden. On November 6, 2021, the fitness universe was rocked to its core with the news of Sha Rhoden's unexpected demise, reportedly from a heart attack. The shockwaves felt through the bodybuilding community were not just because we lost a pro bodybuilder, but because we lost a legend, the 2018 Mr. Olympia champion. Rhoden wasn't just any competitor on the stage. With his unparalleled shoulder width and colossal quads, he smashed records by clinching the Mr. Olympia title at the age of 43 years and 5 months, becoming the oldest champion to ever do so. However, Rhoden's career faced a tumultuous turn when he was barred from competing in the 2019 Mr. Olympia due to allegations of sexual assault. Little did anyone guess that 2018 would mark his final appearance on the Olympia stage. Tragically, Rhoden never had the chance to mount a defense or restore his reputation. Some speculate that it wasn't just a heart attack that claimed his life. Echoing the thoughts of many, Sergio Oliva Jr. poignantly remarked, "Sha Rhoden died because he couldn't do what he loved." This statement hits hard, suggesting that the loss of his passion and purpose could have been the ultimate blow.
Just nothing to live for. I've learned, listen, I grew up, real will always be real no matter what.
Number 12, Paul DeMayo. Paul DeMayo was an American IFBB professional bodybuilder, also known as Quadzilla for his massive leg development. He passed away on June 2, 2005 at the age of just 37 years. The official story is that DeMayo died of a heroin overdose. According to people close to him, DeMayo's problem started when his wife left him and he returned to Boston after he moved to California to train in Gold's Gym. He was then signed to an endorsement contract by sports nutritional supplement company MetRx and forced to compete in the 1995 Mr. Olympia against his wishes. He placed 12th and retired shortly afterwards. DeMayo would go on to spend 2 years in the Billerica House of Correction, or Middlesex County Jail, for shooting his gun in the air after an argument with his girlfriend and possession of Percodan. Some months before his death, he told friends he was working at Gold's Gym on Lansdowne Street in Boston, but it was revealed later that he was fired several months earlier due to a substance abuse problem. There is speculation that he had just gotten a batch of drugs and overdosed. His best friend, Greg Valentino, disclosed that DeMayo left his girlfriend or his high school sweetheart for a crazy lifestyle of partying and drugs. Subsequently, this is what he said led to drug addiction. There were some reports of foul play, but his friends think DeMayo went down a bad path and that he was unable to get as much heroin. As a result, when he did get some, he took too much, resulting in an overdose. Either way, the death of Paul DeMayo is a sad and tragic tale. Number 11, George Patterson. 2 days before lighting up the 2021 Olympia stage, the bodybuilding world was shaken to its core by the tragic news of George "Da Bull" Peterson's sudden passing. This wasn't just any athlete. Peterson was a titan in the classic physique and 212 divisions, renowned for his incredible dedication and his perennial quest to leap beyond the third-place finishes that had defined his Olympia showings. At 37, the spotlight was ready to shine on him again, but fate had a different plan. George was found lifeless, face down in his hotel room, an image that shocked everyone to the core. The detail that truly sent shivers down the spine was the blood around his nose, hinting at an aneurysm as the silent thief that stole him away. Attempts to bring him back were futile. Despite the desperate efforts of his coach, hotel staff, and EMTs who tried CPR, George had already been gone for hours. An autopsy has revealed steroids were a contributing factor in bodybuilder George Patterson's death. For the autopsy results obtained by TMZ Sports, Peterson's official cause of death was listed as sudden cardiac dysrhythmia due to hypertensive cardiovascular disease. The tragic hit like a bolt out of the blue. George was at his peak, brimming with energy and focus, making his sudden departure even more incomprehensible.
After 2019 Mr. Olympia, I felt like I brought my absolute best that I could in Classic, and there was no more.
Number 10, Steve Michalik. Mr. America 1972, Steve Michalik revolutionized the symmetrical look coveted by today's bodybuilders. You could say that he even helped lay the foundation of the sport. Intensity or insanity is the term he coined for his brutal, grueling training system that sent many aspiring bodybuilders into early retirement via hospitalization and placed a great many more on the path to bodybuilding excellence. And he followed what he preached. Mr. Apollo, Mr. USA, Mr. Universe, and Mr. America. These are the titles won by Steve Michalik. Known as the Phantom, Michalik was destined for greatness in the mid-1970s. He was supposed to be part of Pumping Iron, and many tipped him as a potential challenger to the great Arnold Schwarzenegger. In Paul Solotoroff's 1990 Village Voice profile of former Mr. America Steve Michalik, the ex-bodybuilder said Michalik wanted to walk on stage at the Beacon Theater on November 15, 1986, Professional Bodybuilding's Night of Champions, and just turned the joint out with his 260 pounds of ripped, stripped, and shrink-wrapped muscle. He further said, and then, God help him, he wanted to die, right there in front of everybody, with all of the flashbulbs popping. He wanted to drop dead huge and hard at the age of 39 and leave a spectacular corpse behind. Michalik didn't die on stage in 1986, however. Instead, he battled until liver tumors, kidney disease, and heart failure forced him to commit suicide in 2012. Number 9. Justin Vicky. In 2023, fitness influencer and bodybuilder from Indonesia, Justin Vicky died due to a freak gym accident. The 33-year-old was killed when a barbell fell on his neck when he was trying to squat press with 462 pounds. Reports indicate that the barbell struck Justin Vicky's head so violently that the force tipped him forward, resulting in a neck fracture that compromised vital nerves linked to his heart and respiratory system. Rushed to the hospital, doctors did everything they could to save his life, but unfortunately, his injuries were so severe that he perished from them. The footage of the moment, which many media outlets claim to have seen, shows his neck snapping forward as the accident happened. Number 8. Neil Curry. In September 2023, bodybuilder and Mr. Olympia star Neil Curry died at the age of 34. Neil Curry was a former IFBB pro bodybuilder and a respected bodybuilding coach. He was a widely known figure in the realm of bodybuilding, an Iraq war veteran, and a popular influencer. After leaving the Army, he stepped into the bodybuilding arena in 2017 at the World Championships, where he finished 5th in his category. Neil finished 16th in his dream competition at the 2022 Mr. Olympia, which happened to be his last competition. No official confirmation for Curry's death was given, but the Daily Mail reported that his wife said he'd taken his own life following a long battle with PTSD from his time serving in the wars in Iraq and Afghanistan. The athlete's death was revealed by his former mentor and fellow bodybuilding star, Milos Sarcev. He said, "My last best memory of him was the smiling face after he won the New York Pro and fulfilled his lifetime dream of qualifying for Mr. Olympia." The ultimate demise of Neil Curry sent shockwaves throughout the fitness community. His death, determined to be an apparent suicide, has shed light on the immense struggles he faced with depression and severe mental anxieties. Also, this tragic event has sparked critical conversations about mental health issues, particularly within high-pressure professions like bodybuilding. Number 7. Usto Batista. Like scenes out of a horror movie, tragedy occurred when former Brazilian bodybuilding champion Usto Batista Dias was shot dead by 2 assassins during a training session inside a gym in Botucatu, Sao Paulo. Security footage showed Usto Batista Dias training in the weightlifting room before the 2 attackers entered the gym. It didn't take long before the 2 men trapped Dias and proceeded to fire off live ammunition rounds into the bodybuilder. Dias sustained multiple gunshot wounds at point-blank range and later collapsed to the floor. Prior to being shot, Dias was seen conversing with the killers. The assailants continued to fire their weapons until fleeing the scene. The execution video also showed an unidentified man in a blue t-shirt who was shot, although he was not seriously injured. As per reports, the assassins were able to track down the victim through his Instagram profile, where Usto regularly posted gym updates with location. As for his bodybuilding career, Usto Batista Dias was a national champion in the men's physique junior division. He also won the prestigious 2019 State Championship Award in Espiritu Santo, close to Rio de Janeiro.
registrou o momento do assassinato de Usto Batista, de 27 anos. 2 homens armados chegam na academia e atiram diretamente contra ele. A polícia acredita que o crime foi uma execução. O atleta tinha passagens por tráfico de drogas.
Number 6. Boston Lloyd. Boston Lloyd passed away suddenly in 2022 to leave everyone in shock. Lloyd had returned home from the gym, then passed out. Paramedics performed CPR until he eventually died at the hospital. The cause of his death? An autopsy revealed the cause of death to be retrograde aortic dissection, a condition where the aorta comes out of the heart to pump blood to the body. It tore back into the heart and ultimately led to Lloyd's death. It's worth mentioning here that Lloyd's father, who was also a bodybuilder, had an enlarged aorta which he had surgically repaired. While genetics probably did play a role in Boston Lloyd's death, we can't ignore the fact that Lloyd was notorious for using his body as a testing ground with all sorts of steroids, peptides, and other substances. Boston Lloyd was never one to beat around the bush when it came to using PEDs, which was a breath of fresh air in an industry that constantly lies about what goes on behind the scenes. His extreme experimentation with steroids and other PEDs has probably saved many lives in the process as he documented his trials and tribulations. He showed the bodybuilding world that more isn't necessarily better when it comes to using PEDs. Lloyd's mother, Maria Raya, whose bodybuilding career spanned 4 decades, said he was in the gym and I guess he was on his back and he was in total pain. He did not want to go to the hospital. He did not believe in doctors, and that was the problem. It made sense because when Boston had a fast heart rate from getting up from the couch, he didn't get it checked by a doctor. He simply self-prescribed a beta blocker. He had a mini-trust and condescension towards doctors. To him, he knew better. Boston said he was experimenting with drugs, and he did so at the highest tolerable doses and beyond. Boston Lloyd was open about his use of steroids and the state of his kidneys. Lloyd was experiencing stage 5 kidney failure, and effects of this were found in the autopsy as well. It showed damage to the kidneys, a lot of sclerosis, and damage to filtering mechanisms. This was consistent with high blood pressure.
God damn! Look at him! Now, like I told you guys, this is under a year.
Number 5. Luke Wood. Luke Wood, 35, a 6-time winner of the Australian Bodybuilding Championships, died on August 31st, 2011, 11 days after he underwent kidney transplant surgery. Luke Wood, known as Big Luke in the bodybuilding community, was considered a highly motivated and incredibly friendly guy. As an IFBB competitor from 2001 to 2008, he was often breaking into the top 10. However, his untimely death left everyone in shock. On August 20th, 2011, Mr. Wood underwent a kidney transplant. 3 days later, his body began to show symptoms that it was rejecting the kidney. But this is where the hospital made a huge mistake. Despite the risk of kidney rejection, he was discharged in circumstances that are reported to have been allegedly premature. Ultimately, on August 31st, 2011, Mr. Wood was rushed to the hospital after he collapsed at home. He died at Sydney's Westmead Hospital following cardiac arrest, which was reportedly caused by the massive hemorrhage in his abdomen following his transplant. Evidence, however, given by his treating practitioners, is reported to have indicated that not only was he required to wait over 4 hours for a CT scan, but that the emergency physicians that treated him did not have access to his complete medical records as they were locked in a secured room and inaccessible. An independent judicial officer found Wood was so sick that it was unlikely he would have survived even if doctors had done better. However, Luke Wood's family rejected these findings.
We're here today with Luke Wood, IFBB Pro, biggest legs in Australia, possibly the biggest neck. We're going to do a shoulder workout with Luke. How are you, son?
Number 4. David Dearth. David Dearth was a larger-than-life individual who was very open about his lifestyle, and he competed at the IFBB but then transitioned to Vince McMahon's WBF or World Bodybuilding Federation in the 90s for a brief stint. He was named the Rock and Roll Wild Child, which many felt was suitable for his on- and off-stage personality. He returned to the IFBB 2 years later and stood on stage at the 1994 Mr. Olympia. Although he did not place, many felt that this was his best condition to date. David's last show took place on Canadian soil at the 2001 Toronto Pro Show. While living in West Virginia, David really got into working with racehorses. Unfortunately, he had an accident with a horse which resulted in tearing one of his biceps and his rotator cuff. Doctors didn't go in immediately to repair the injury, for reasons we don't understand, but a few weeks later had surgery on his arm. Unfortunately, a complication arose and he developed 2 abscesses from the surgery. Abscesses are body infections that can be very dangerous if they spread throughout your body. Within 4 days, doctors put David through a second surgery and things went downhill quickly. And sadly, David died of heart failure on August 5, 2019. David's brutal honesty about his recreational drug use, steroid use and abuse, run-ins with the cops, bar fights, family deaths, training injuries, medical problems, and job losses made him a fan favorite amongst the bodybuilding fans who grew up in his area and newbies who'd never heard of him before. Despite so many tragedies, he had a funny sense of humor about the situations he'd landed himself in, never blaming anyone else and always seemed to be positive about the day.
He's David Dearth.
Bodybuilding's affected my life in a lot of positive ways. I've been in a lot of trouble as a youth. Got in.
Number 3, Art Atwood. Art Atwood's journey through the world of professional bodybuilding was full of highs and lows. His debut in the competitive scene in 2000, where he clinched first place in the super heavyweight class at the Junior USA Championships, marked the beginning of a promising career. This victory was a clear indication of his dedication and potential within the sport. Just a year later, Atwood made his professional debut at the 2001 Toronto Pro Invitational, astonishing the bodybuilding community by taking first place, a rare feat for a newcomer in such a competitive field. But then, things didn't start to go his way. In his remaining 18 pro contests over 5 years, he never again finished higher than third. 14 times, he missed the pose down. Ultimately, Atwood met with a tragic end by the age of 37. He was walking through the pool area of his condominium complex when he had a heart attack. 2 residents who were at the pool saw him fall in and immediately pulled him out. Although they were unable to revive him and called paramedics, he passed away soon after. The coroner's report showed that Atwood died of a massive heart attack. It also stated that Atwood unknowingly suffered a minor heart attack about a month previously.
From Milwaukee, Wisconsin, making his first Olympian. Please welcome competitor 19, Art Atwood.
A monster followed by monsters.
Another big man right here.
Number 2, Daniele Sakari. Daniele Sakari, who has died at age 33, was the world's heaviest male bodybuilder and a star athlete of the IFBB. Sakari's height and thickly muscle-bound arms, huge even by the standards of his fellow competitors, brought him acclaim both on the bodybuilding circuit and in his native Italy. There he was the subject of an hour-long special on the music and entertainment TV channel MTV and appeared on the Low Show Day Record, a primetime program dedicated to displays of extraordinary capabilities. It was on the set of the latter in 2010 when he received official confirmation from the Guinness Book of Records as the man with the largest arms in the world, which stood at 55 centimeters or 21.65 inches. However, his later career was marred by accusations of drug use and arrest cases. For instance, he was held in a Milan prison cell on his return from a competition in Las Vegas. He was accused of trading in growth hormones and anabolic steroids. After 6 days in a Milan prison cell, he had gained several pounds through water retention and looked dangerously unwell. His prison doctor called the courthouse, saying that further detention put Sakari at risk of cardiac arrest. And the prosecutors agreed that he should return home, where his condition could be closely monitored. The case against him was later dropped. Daniele Sakari died at the age of 33 from a heart attack in 2013. He also had a head injury, which the coroner speculated was caused by an accidental fall, possibly precipitated by a heart attack or other illness. He reportedly had a history of heart problems. He also had a history of severe water retention.
You have to give it everything you got. No more TV, no more parties, no more playing.
Number 1, Joe Linder. Joe Linder, better known as Joesthetics on social media, was a German bodybuilder and one of the most famous fitness influencers. With an Instagram following of over 9 million, Linder also created a food supplement brand called Huge Supplements. On June 30th, 2023, the bodybuilding community was left heartbroken following the untimely passing of Joe Linder. As per reports, he died suddenly of an aneurysm in his girlfriend's arms at the age of 30 following neck pain. For those who don't know, an aneurysm is a localized enlargement or bulging of an artery caused by a weakening of the artery wall. It can occur in any blood vessel, but it's most commonly seen in the aorta, the body's main artery, and the arteries at the base of the brain. The danger of an aneurysm lies in its potential to rupture, which can lead to bleeding and death. Also in June, Linder also revealed suffering from rippling muscle disease, or RMD. In an episode of YouTuber Bradley Martin's Raw Talk, he had described his health condition, which he said was technically a cramp. Death is inevitable, but its commonality as a result of certain choices demands our attention and action. Tragically, in the world of bodybuilding, the shadow cast by steroids and other performance-enhancing drugs is all too real and far too frequent. It's a path that leads many away from the essence of true strength and toward unnecessary risk. I urge you to sidestep these pitfalls. Embrace the time-honored practices of classic bodybuilding, those that build not just muscle but character and longevity. Please show your support by hitting that like button, and if you haven't already, consider subscribing to our channel. Your subscription is more than just a number to us. It's a motivation to keep digging deeper, exploring further, and bringing you more of the educational content you desire.